So we're going to move on to talk about the saltiest man in Charlotte. His name is D'Angelo Williams. He was on 610 AM. He had an interview with Mac and T-Bone about his comments with ESPN.
Right.
How do you guys feel about D'Angelo and his thoughts on the Panthers?
Let me go first, man. I'm gonna ask y'all a question. What year is it?
It is 2019.
Why are we still talking about D'Angelo Williams in 2019, man?
Because he's salty.
And how long has he been going? Since 2015? Earlier than that? 2014 maybe? It's 2019 and we're still talking about our running back from 5-6 years ago, man.
Because he keeps making himself. Yeah.
Look, man.
We keep feeding the beast, man.
We keep feeding the beast, and locally we keep feeding the beast, which is I'm pretty damn upset about, but we're not going to get into that right now. I don't get it. I truly don't get it because, D'Angelo was let go under different ownership, under different management. And, if there's any person or any entity to be mad about, be mad at Jerry Richardson. Be mad at Marty Hurney. But why are you taking your saltiness and your anger out on your former teammates? That's what I truly don't understand that.
I've heard that he's still salty about how the team and his teammates handled things when his mother died.
And I think that's what his frustration and his anger, I believe, is justified. I don't think it's justified how he's directed.
I'm glad you said that. I totally agree with that. Coming from somebody whose mother has passed away, I totally understand where he may be coming from with that. At the same time, man, as grown men, you handle your problems as a grown man. You don't air them out publicly. You get what I'm saying?
Now, at the same time, he really hasn't aired out any problems or grievances. He just isn't mixing salt when it comes to talking about the Panthers.
But it's thinly veiled in shade. Yeah. I understand that. You get what I'm saying? But
in 2015 when he was released, he did have an interview with WCNC in Charlotte. He aired out grievances. He was upset that he stated that I'm upset that nobody came. One person that came on the team was Greg Hardy, and so he kind of, when Gettleman released him, he kind of threw everybody under the bus. Now, which I understand his anger with nobody showing.
Now, if my mom passed away and you guys don't come to the funeral, I'm not upset because we're all adults. We all have our own lives. You guys probably couldn't make it. But where his frustration comes from is that his mom was a part of the NFL's push to be the press cut. So when she was here, she's in all these commercials. They're doing all these events and all that. But then when she passed away, it's like Will Smith at the end of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like, where's everybody? So like, she's not here now. Yeah. So like, now you guys don't care. And I think that specifically is where it's coming from. If that wasn't the case, and she just passed away, I don't think he's as upset.
Look,
that seems like his gripe is in with the entire league. There's enough. We don't know what his relationship was with these guys in the locker room. Everybody has different relationships. You have a guy who is a locker room guy, who everybody is cool with. They have an event, everybody shows up because this dude is cool with everybody. You have other people who are standoffish. Yeah. Right. So you can't be the standoffish guy or the guy who kind of removes himself in the locker room and then expect everybody to show up for you at your worst moment. Plus, it was in the middle of the season, right? So there are mitigating factors that come into play with this. I understand what you're saying about, she was kind of like the poster child for this what was October? Everybody wears all the pink, and he colored his hair pink, and the NFL has really been able to monetize off of that. But don't have a gripe with the Panthers. Have a gripe with the entire league. He's directing his anger to the wrong people, and it really comes off as bitterness.
Now, let me clarify. I'm not justifying his actions. But I'm saying I more so understand where the frustration coming from.
Right. Let me. I feel like I need to speak on this more because I know how this feels firsthand. It's a deeply hurtful thing, and you keep score sometimes. As wrong as that is to say, sometimes you kind of keep score of who's been there for you, who hasn't been there for you, because it's such a painful thing to deal with. At the same time, man. Again, man, that thinly veiled shade, hurt, whatever you want to call it, I just don't think doing that in public is the right thing to do. You get what I'm saying? And just like Vashti said, there's so many mitigating factors as to why such and such couldn't have just made the funeral. We don't know. You get what I'm saying? But I just don't think the way he's maybe handling his grief is the right.
Also, you're saying the way he keeps addressing them. A lot of times when he has these hot takes, whether it be in an interview or whether it be on Twitter, he's saying this in response to somebody else.
Right.
Now, go ahead, Rodney.
So there was a tweet.
Okay.
That came out last week.
Mm-hmm.
A young lady named Abby said, "Lots of my close friends, most in fact, did not go to my mom's funeral. It was out of state, and like an adult, I understood." And he replied back, "Sounds like you need better friends, or your mom just wasn't a nice person."
Man.
But I'm sure you know the answer to that. But may your mom rest.
No, he gotta let that hurt go. I'm sorry.
Now wait, I feel like I need to say now. Up until 3 days ago, I was exactly where you guys are right now. I was like, D. Will, you need to shut up, let the bitterness go, let the hate go, and move on. But this is how certain storylines get created, because the tweet that Rodney just read out, the girl, I think her name was like Abby or something, she said that in response to another tweet. And after D. Will went on First Take, I think it was like Biased Panthers fan, he said something to the effect that like D. Will must be upset that Cam didn't go to his mom's funeral, and that's why he keeps talking about him the way he does.
Right.
And then Abby came back with, I was in da. Here's my deal. I don't care that D. Will is a former all-pro football player. If you talk about me about football, basketball, whatnot, I'm gonna keep it football, basketball.
Right.
But when Abby was like, nobody came to my mom's funeral, and I handled it like an adult, because that's what adults do.
Right.
I can't get mad at D. Will for that response.
What?
That's an unreasonable.
I'm sorry. I'm like, what's the difference?
Did she add him in it?
Yeah.
Just because, she didn't add him, but she responded to the original.
And then he was added in the other.
He was added to the original.
Okay, so if she didn't bring the mother up, he did, and if she's responding saying that, okay, well, at some point, you can't necessarily be mad about it. I don't know.
I have one particular thing I don't like about D'Angelo's response. Maybe your mother wasn't a nice person, because
that's dirty.
Listen. If he would have said that to me, I would have.
Did he delete that tweet?
No, it's still there. Now look, I'm not saying
ugly.
I'm not saying I would say that. I would never say that. But when you bring family into it, I can't get upset for how somebody else responds.
Hey, gloves are off when you bring family into it. She said like an adult, which insinuated that D. Will's acting like a child. So I can't get upset at him for that response. But don't say maybe your mother wasn't a nice person, man.
That's way too. That's nasty. That's below the belt.
That's the line. That's the line. You don't.
Nobody said
line,
anything
man.
bad about his mom. They really were addressing, his bitterness.
Right.
Nobody said, his mom, maybe she wasn't nice to other players' moms. No, like for him to come at that girl's mom like that.
Now, does it help his case that he ended the tweet by saying that I hope your mom?
No.
Let's like these sacrimonious people who are nasty, and then they say, "Well, God bless you." So you don't want God to bless me, because you would just think.
Now here's the deal. Okay, we in the grand scheme of things are nobodies, right? I think go with the wait. Let me hear this. Between me, Rodney, and Jamal, we probably have 200 followers total on Twitter between the three of us, right? If I say something on Twitter to someone else that, well, maybe your mom just wasn't a nice person, nobody talks about it. But if a celebrity, an athlete, actor, if they say it, now it's all of a sudden viewed different.
Listen, D'Angelo Williams gets paid to play football, or he did, and now he gets paid to talk about it. With that type of profile comes a certain amount of responsibility. Vashti can say, unfair or not, right? Vashti can say something on Twitter, and I'm not going to be roasted about it. That's because Vashti doesn't have the profile that D'Angelo Williams does. And with that profile comes responsibility, and he showed lack thereof with his reply.
One other thing that he stated was that he really didn't love football. It was just a job. How do you guys feel about that?
I have absolutely no problem with that. He used it to secure the bag and to secure his
You
kids.
like D'Angelo, don't
No,
you?
no.
I'm really trying to figure this out.
And that's the crazy part, because like I say, before a week ago, my comments about D. Will would have been vastly different than what they are right now. But leading up to this podcast and just going back and looking at this stuff, I don't have a problem. There's a lot of athletes who use that to secure the bag.
Let me say this. I believe there's certain things you just don't say, whether they're true or not. If I'm a coach, and I hear a player say, well, I really don't love this, I'm just here to get a check. How does that really sound? I mean,
but he performed at a high level,
listen, and that's fine. That is fine. Even if he performed at a high level, my thought is, well, damn, if you really loved it, you could be better than what you are. If I'm a coach, maybe you can hold on to the ball a little more.
Do you think he meant the fumble? Do you think he lined up and said, you know what, I'm going to fumble this ball right now?
He just said he didn't love it. He didn't care. And he fumbled the ball. I was like, well, I'm still getting paid at the end of the game, so check clears, whether I fumble or not. So if I'm a coach, I'm like, well, damn, dude, like, you know, what's the motivation?
Okay, the jobs that you guys have right now. Would you continue to move about and do those jobs if you weren't getting paid?
Well, it's not football, so
you're getting paid. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Different dynamic. There's a way different dynamic with a 9-to-5 job or working for yourself, or whatever, than it is playing football and performing for a coach and a crowd that adores you and ownership and getting paid millions of dollars. There's a different dynamic, man. So. Not kind of false equivalent.
I don't know. I would be willing to bet that if you took a poll with the majority of the athletes that are playing right now, they'll tell you the same thing. I'm here to secure the. I love the sport, but
I would have. But I agree with him to some extent. Some of these guys don't necessarily, and they're different levels. Some of the guys may not love practice, but they love the game, and some of the guys, may love the camaraderie, but they may not love the sport. So I think that there are different levels. I don't have a problem with him saying that he didn't love football, but there is a difference between guys who love football and who are passionate about it and guys who aren't.
Let me ask you a question. What if Nick Batum came out tomorrow and said, I don't really love basketball, I just like getting paid? What was the response?
That's a false equivalency.
I understand.
It's a false equivalency.
Maybe it is.
No, but the simple fact that Nick Batum has completely disappeared since securing the bag, we can't. What's
the difference?
D'Angelo did the same thing.
What is the difference?
D will continue to perform at a high level.
What is a high level?
I don't have the stats. I don't have the stats behind me. I don't have the stats behind me.
Producer.
So after he got the extension, the one that essentially
when Marty Hurdy was handing out Thanksgiving turkeys to everybody.
He never had a 1,000-yard season after that until he went to Pittsburgh, and he played. After that extension, he played 5 more seasons with the Panthers.
Wow.
And he was on that 2-14 team. Wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He started.
Because that's when Hurney was handing everybody money. Yeah.
The team that averaged 12 points a game.
Yeah,
so
right.
Maybe he should have cared a little more about
Again.
Now, in addition to his drop off in rushing yards, he was sharing the backfield with Stewart, and Cam Newton was entering his third year. He was ending his third year during when he got that new contract, and we know what Cam Newton does when he comes to rushing. So he was it wasn't Jake Delhomme or whoever we've had back there. Like, Cam Newton was taking a lot of his yards away. So did he go, you know what? I got the bag now. Let me go pull this Nick Batum before Nick pulls this Nick Batum.
But see, you know what? You wouldn't question it if he didn't come out publicly and say I didn't love football.
Again, sometimes things are better unsaid.
So let me ask you a question. So when he lost weight, when he went to Pittsburgh and got motivated, so how do you explain that?
Well, and what happened in Pittsburgh, I think that's another situation where you aren't expected to perform, so like the expectations were low anyway. Because going into that season, Le'Veon Bell was supposed to be the starting role, and I think Will was only supposed to play like 4 games or something. I'm not prepared to speak on that right now, but when he was a replacement, there was no expectations.
Right.
Yeah, but he came in there with a lot of hype. Like I remember.
They will.
Yeah, not him as himself. Like he came in there talking about how he had all this stuff to prove and how he felt so slighted. So he was motivated. then. He just wasn't motivated
So
toward
he
the end of his career in Carolina.
So y'all are shading him because he didn't care for football, but you just admit he was motivated when he went to Pittsburgh.
Which means he lied.
So somewhere,
Somebody ain't telling the truth.
Hey, D. Will, if you see this, we need you on the show. We got questions, man.
He has a supporter.
We got,
he has a real supporter in this because.
Look, I'll admit he is bitter. Some of the stuff he needs to calm down. So, but I understand the place of where the frustration is coming from.
Some of the criticisms of Newton and stuff.
I completely agree.
Look, we probably gotta move on a little bit, but let's talk about that because there was a statement he made on ESPN where he was basically saying Cam was an average quarterback,
right?
And I'm just like, in what world, dude?
And
like,
that falls under my statement where I said how he's pointing out or whatnot, that frustration is. I don't get that because that first take interview that he did about Cam Newton, I completely disagree with everything he said about Cam Newton. Okay. Now, can I get some? Are we friends now?
You still a fan over there?
Hey, look,
I don't know him, so I can't say that.
Hey, Vince, we're still friends, but I have a really old D'Angelo Williams jersey at the house if you want it. I got you, bro.
But now get to the whole Cam Newton. The topic was, can Cam Newton get back to his 2015 MVP year? And D. Will said no, and everyone else was like, yeah, I think he can. Here's the deal. I don't think, and I don't want Cam Newton to get back to his MVP year. And the reason for that was because if you look at last season, even though he played with a bum shoulder and he only played 14 games, statistically speaking, his stats last year was actually better than his MVP season. Mm-hmm. So I don't want Cam Newton to go back to his MVP because he will actually regress. Right. So let's get last year Cam Newton back, and we can do that.
And I don't want him to go back to his MVP season because that would mean we would have the offensive coordinator from that year, and I definitely don't want that back. I don't even want to say his name, so let's please not go back to that. I had a nightmare just now, man. Flashback.
But Vashta, we've kind of been talking a lot here. You're our guest. Definitely want to include you. What was your overall thoughts on the ESPN interview?
I mean, I tweeted about it. I don't know what I said specifically. I just thought he was salty. I didn't like the insults to Cam. I thought they seemed a bit personal, and wherever it came from. But to say he was an average quarterback, try to minimize, he only has one MVP. Dude, like, you didn't even sniff an MVP, and you out here minimizing his MVP season. Like, I just didn't like it. He to me, he gave stats without context. He talked about his touchdowns versus interceptions, but didn't talk about his rushing touchdowns. Yeah. Didn't talk about his ground game. So I didn't like it. It just seemed too personal.
And that's one thing I always hate about the Cam Newton conversation. His rushing achievements always get discarded simply because he's a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I always never liked about that conversation right there.
Yeah.